For years, the royal crisis surrounding Prince Harry has unfolded like a slow-burning fracture inside the House of Windsor, a conflict filled with interviews, accusations, memoirs, documentaries, and public appearances that steadily push the monarchy into territory it had never experienced before. But tonight, according to explosive royal speculation spreading across palace circles and online royal watchers, something far more dramatic may be unfolding behind closed doors, because reports are now claiming that Prince William has finally decided enough is enough, and that a quiet institutional shift may already be underway, one designed to permanently replace Harry's role inside the monarchy with an entirely different royal figure, a young man few casual viewers ever expected to become central to the future of the crown, 15-year-old James, Earl of Wessex. And if that sounds impossible, stay with this story carefully, because what makes this situation so explosive is not just the alleged punishment itself, but the reason palace insiders claim it happened in the first place, an Australia trip that some royal commentators are now describing as the moment Harry crossed a line the institution could no longer ignore. Because this was not presented as an official royal tour. It was not approved by Buckingham Palace. It was not organized through traditional royal channels. Yet somehow, photographs, private meetings, carefully staged appearances, and international media coverage suddenly created the impression that Harry was operating almost like an independent royal figure on foreign soil. And according to growing speculation online, that deeply alarmed senior palace officials already worried about the long-term damage caused by competing royal narratives surrounding the Sussex brand. Now, whether every detail being discussed online is true remains heavily disputed, and it is important to say that clearly from the beginning, because none of the most dramatic constitutional claims have been officially confirmed by Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, or the British government. But the reason this story has exploded across royal media tonight is because people are no longer just debating Harry's relationship with the monarchy, they are beginning to ask whether the institution itself has quietly started preparing for a future that no longer includes him at all. And once you begin looking at the timing of everything, the tension surrounding Commonwealth politics, the growing pressure on the monarchy during King Charles III's reign, and William's increasingly visible role as protector of the institution, the entire situation suddenly starts to feel much larger than another royal family disagreement. Because this is no longer being framed as a private feud between two brothers. This is being framed as a battle over the future direction of the monarchy itself. And at the center of it all sits a teenager who spent most of his life completely outside the chaos. James, a quiet royal, rarely controversial, rarely discussed, suddenly being mentioned as a possible institutional replacement for one of the most famous princes in the world. But here is where the story becomes truly fascinating, because according to the growing theory spreading across royal circles tonight, this was not a sudden emotional reaction from William after one bad headline. The claim is that this may have been building quietly for months, possibly years. And if that is true, then the Australia controversy may not have created the plan at all. It may simply have triggered it. The deeper palace anxiety, according to royal insiders and constitutional commentators following the story, was never just about interviews, Netflix documentaries, or even the publication of Spare. It was about something the monarchy historically fears more than almost anything else: the emergence of a competing royal center of influence operating outside institutional control. Because for centuries the survival of the crown has depended on one core principle above all others: there can only ever be one recognized royal authority speaking for the monarchy at a time. And that is exactly why the alleged Australia situation triggered such panic behind palace walls. Because the moment Prince Harry began appearing in highly publicized meetings, surrounded by international media coverage that visually resembled an official royal visit, palace strategists reportedly saw something far more dangerous than another controversy. They saw the possibility of a parallel monarchy beginning to form in public perception. Think about it carefully. To millions of casual viewers around the world, especially outside Britain, the distinction between an official royal and a former working royal is already blurry. And when Harry appears at public events, meets influential figures, speaks on global issues, or receives diplomatic-level attention abroad, many people naturally still associate him with the institution itself, regardless of what formal agreements exist behind the scenes. That ambiguity may be exactly what frightened the palace most. Because from William's perspective, according to growing royal analysis online, the issue was no longer whether Harry remained personally popular. The issue was whether he was beginning to function like an alternative royal voice, a royal figure outside palace control, a prince with global influence but no institutional oversight. And historically, the monarchy has never responded gently when it believes its authority is being challenged from within. What makes this even more significant is the timing. At the exact moment these tensions are escalating, King Charles III continues facing ongoing health concerns, while Prince William has quietly taken on a far more visible leadership role across the monarchy, and many royal watchers now believe the Prince of Wales is no longer simply preparing for the future. They believe he is already operating as the institution's primary stabilizing force behind the scenes. And if that is true, then the alleged strategy surrounding James suddenly begins making much more sense. Because unlike Harry, James, Earl of Wessex represents something the palace increasingly values above almost everything else after years of royal turbulence: stability, discretion, predictability, no interviews, no public feuds, no commercial warfare against the institution. James has spent nearly his entire life outside the endless media storms that consumed other members of the family, largely because his parents, Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, deliberately kept him away from the celebrity-style royal culture that many critics believe damaged previous generations of younger royals. And now, suddenly, the same quiet approach that once made James nearly invisible may be exactly what makes him attractive to palace strategists trying to rebuild trust in the monarchy's future image. But here is the part that has truly ignited debate across royal audiences tonight. Critics of Harry believe William is protecting the institution. Critics of William believe the institution is proving Harry right. Because if these reports and theories are even partially accurate, then it would suggest the monarchy still possesses an extraordinary ability to isolate, reorganize, and strategically reshape royal roles behind closed doors with remarkable precision, exactly the kind of institutional machinery Harry has spent years accusing the palace of hiding from public view. And whether viewers support Harry or support William, one reality is becoming impossible to ignore. This is no longer just a family disagreement. It is becoming a public struggle over who gets to define the monarchy's future in the post-Elizabeth era. And according to some palace insiders, the real confrontation may not have even started yet. What reportedly pushed the situation from quiet palace concern into full institutional alarm was not one single event, but the growing belief inside royal circles that Prince Harry no longer viewed himself as merely a former working royal living independently in California, but as a global figure capable of operating beside the monarchy while simultaneously criticizing it, profiting from it, and in some cases, directly challenging it in the international arena. And for years, the palace appeared willing to tolerate that tension. Barely. There were periods of silence, moments where reconciliation still seemed possible. Family funerals, coronations, occasional brief appearances where royal observers searched desperately for signs that the relationship between Harry and Prince William might eventually heal. But according to the growing theory now dominating royal commentary channels, Australia changed the atmosphere completely because it allegedly crossed into territory the monarchy historically treats very differently from family drama. Institutional defiance. Because from the perspective of palace strategists, there is a massive difference between a prince criticizing the monarchy in interviews and a prince appearing to conduct himself internationally in ways that resemble unofficial royal representation. That distinction matters enormously, especially across Commonwealth nations where debates surrounding the monarchy are already becoming increasingly sensitive. And that is why some commentators now believe William's response was designed to send a message not just to Harry, but to the entire royal system itself. A message that the next generation of monarchy will operate under tighter institutional discipline than ever before. Remember, William grew up watching what public instability did to the royal family during the final years of Diana, Princess of Wales's life, through the scandals of the 1990s, through the media wars that consumed the House of Windsor for years, and many royal analysts believe those experiences fundamentally shaped the way he views royal survival. Control the narrative. Protect the institution. Avoid chaos at all costs. And unlike previous heirs who often appeared reluctant to confront family controversy directly, William increasingly appears willing to take a far more aggressive approach when the monarchy's long-term authority is involved. That is exactly why this alleged replacement strategy involving James, Earl of Wessex, has gained so much traction online, because symbolically, James represents almost the complete opposite of Harry's modern royal identity. Quiet instead of outspoken, institutional instead of independent, private instead of celebrity-driven, and perhaps most importantly of all, completely aligned with the palace structure rather than operating outside it. But there is another layer to this story that many viewers are beginning to notice tonight, one that makes the entire situation emotionally far more complicated than a simple battle between good and bad royals. Because regardless of where people stand politically or emotionally in the Harry versus William divide, there is something undeniably tragic about watching two brothers who once stood together during one of the most heartbreaking moments in modern royal history slowly become symbols of two completely different visions for the monarchy's future. The public still remembers those images, William and Harry walking behind their mother's coffin together, two young princes facing unimaginable pressure side by side. For years, people believed that shared trauma would permanently unite them. Instead, many now believe it may have shaped them into completely opposite men. William became the protector of the institution. Harry became its most famous critic. And somewhere along the way, reconciliation appears to have transformed from difficult to almost impossible. That is why this latest controversy feels so different from previous royal disputes. Because this no longer feels temporary. It feels structural, permanent, like the monarchy may already be reorganizing itself for a future where Harry is treated not as a distant family member who might eventually return, but as a fully separate figure operating outside the royal system forever. And if that is truly the direction events are moving, then the consequences will stretch far beyond headlines, because this conflict will eventually shape the next generation of royals as well, including Harry's children, William's children, and now possibly even James himself, a teenager who never asked to become central to one of the most explosive royal power struggles of the modern era. But according to palace watchers following every movement behind the scenes tonight, the most dramatic stage of this crisis may still be ahead. Because the real question is no longer whether the relationship between William and Harry has collapsed. The real question is whether the monarchy is preparing to formally redefine Harry's place inside royal history itself. What makes this alleged palace strategy so extraordinary is that it does not simply target Prince Harry as an individual. It appears designed to permanently reshape the balance of power inside the monarchy itself, because for decades the modern royal family has operated under an increasingly fragile system where public image matters almost as much as constitutional authority. And after years of scandals, interviews, internal conflict, and public distrust surrounding multiple members of the House of Windsor, many royal insiders believe Prince William has reached the conclusion that the institution can no longer survive by reacting passively to crisis after crisis. Instead, according to growing royal speculation, William may now be attempting something far more ambitious, a controlled restructuring of the monarchy before he becomes king. And if that interpretation is accurate, then the alleged rise of James, Earl of Wessex, is not random at all, because James represents the kind of royal future William reportedly wants the public to see once the next era of the monarchy fully begins. Less celebrity, less chaos, less emotional warfare played out through international media, more discipline, more institutional loyalty, more controlled visibility. In many ways, James symbolizes a return to the older royal philosophy that the monarchy functions best when younger royals remain largely invisible unless required for duty, a model that sharply contrasts with the modern celebrity-driven environment surrounding Harry and Meghan over the last several years. And that contrast is exactly why the story has exploded online. Because many viewers are beginning to interpret the alleged replacement narrative as something deeply symbolic rather than merely administrative. Harry represented the monarchy adapting to modern global celebrity culture. James represents the monarchy retreating away from it. That ideological divide may ultimately define the next generation of royal history. But there is another reason palace observers believe this conflict has become so dangerous internally, and it revolves around one issue the monarchy values above almost everything else: precedent. Because once an institution demonstrates it is willing to isolate or publicly diminish even one of its most globally recognizable royal figures, it fundamentally changes the psychology surrounding every other member of the family as well. The monarchy traditionally survives by projecting continuity, stability, and permanence. That is its greatest strength. But moments like this expose something different. They expose power, cold institutional power, the ability of the crown to reorganize itself when survival is perceived to be at risk. And whether supporters view that as necessary discipline or ruthless overreach depends entirely on how they interpret Harry's actions over the last several years. Some viewers believe William is doing exactly what a future king must do, protecting the institution from instability before it spreads further. Others believe the palace is proving Harry's warnings correct by demonstrating how aggressively the monarchy can respond when challenged publicly from within. That tension is precisely why the story has become so emotionally charged across royal audiences tonight. Because people are not only debating Harry anymore, they are debating the monarchy itself, what kind of institution it truly is behind closed doors, and perhaps most importantly, what kind of King William may eventually become. Will he be remembered as the prince who stabilized the monarchy during one of its most vulnerable modern periods? Or will critics eventually argue that he centralized royal authority so aggressively that he pushed his own brother permanently outside the institution? That question now hangs over every stage of this crisis, especially because the public image of William has evolved dramatically over recent years. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, William was often viewed as the careful future heir, quietly preparing in the background while the late Queen remained the defining center of stability. But the atmosphere changed after her death. Since the beginning of King Charles III's reign, William increasingly appears less like a distant future monarch and more like an active executive force already shaping institutional strategy in real time, particularly as concerns surrounding Charles's health continue generating constant media attention. And according to some royal commentators, that shift matters enormously because it suggests the monarchy may already be transitioning psychologically into the William era long before the formal succession ever occurs. That possibility alone changes how every major royal conflict is interpreted. It changes how viewers interpret palace silence. It changes how they interpret strategic leaks. It changes how they interpret Harry's increasingly isolated position. And perhaps most importantly, it changes how they interpret the sudden attention now surrounding James. Because if the palace truly wanted to send a message about the future direction of the monarchy, there may be no more symbolic way to do it than elevating the quietest young royal at the exact moment the loudest royal conflict reaches its breaking point. But according to royal insiders following the situation closely, the most explosive phase of this entire crisis may arrive when Harry finally responds publicly, because the palace may have prepared for legal arguments, media backlash, and international controversy. But what nobody can fully predict is how dangerous this situation becomes if the conflict escalates emotionally rather than institutionally. And if that happens, the monarchy could find itself facing something even more destabilizing than scandal: a permanent royal civil war playing out in front of the entire world. And perhaps that is the most remarkable part of this entire story, because beneath all the palace strategy, the legal speculation, the headlines, the online warfare between supporters of Prince Harry and supporters of Prince William, there remains one deeply uncomfortable truth that even the monarchy itself cannot fully escape. This was once supposed to be the future of the royal family. William and Harry together, the two brothers who symbolize continuity after the devastating loss of Diana, Princess of Wales. The two princes the public believed would modernize the monarchy side by side. For years, people genuinely thought their bond was unbreakable because it had been forged through grief, pressure, media intrusion, and unimaginable public scrutiny from childhood onward. But somewhere between duty and freedom, between institutional loyalty and personal independence, between protecting the crown and confronting it publicly, the relationship appears to have collapsed into something neither side may ever fully repair again. And now, according to the growing royal theory dominating headlines tonight, the monarchy may be entering an entirely new phase where that fracture is no longer treated as temporary family tension behind palace walls, but as a permanent structural separation shaping the institution's future for decades to come. Because if the palace truly moves forward with this alleged strategy, then the message becomes impossible to misunderstand. The monarchy is choosing stability over reconciliation. institutional control over emotional compromise, continuity over uncertainty. And in doing so, it may fundamentally redefine what happens to royals who attempt to operate outside the system while still carrying the weight, influence, and symbolism of royal identity. But there is also enormous risk in that approach, because history has repeatedly shown that monarchies rarely face danger only from external criticism. Sometimes the greatest damage comes from internal division becoming visible to the public in ways that permanently weaken the illusion of unity surrounding the crown. And that is exactly why the story matters far beyond celebrity gossip or tabloid drama. This is about the future shape of the modern monarchy itself. A monarchy trying to survive in a world where younger generations increasingly question inherited privilege, where Commonwealth nations continue debating republicanism, where public trust can shift globally in hours through social media, and where even the most carefully controlled royal narrative can fracture under the pressure of international scrutiny. That is the world William appears to be preparing for. A harsher world, a more unstable world, a world where the monarchy may believe it can no longer tolerate competing royal power centers operating independently across the global stage. And if that calculation truly sits behind everything unfolding tonight, then James may not simply represent Harry's replacement. He may represent the prototype for the next generation of monarchy itself. Carefully managed, institutionally disciplined, quietly loyal, far less visible. But while palace strategists may view that future as stability, critics will continue asking a very different question. At what cost? Because regardless of where viewers stand in this conflict, one reality remains undeniable. The emotional damage between these two brothers now appears deeper than ever before. And if this crisis continues escalating publicly, the consequences could follow the royal family for an entire generation, shaping not only William's reign, but also the future relationships between their children, the public image of the monarchy abroad, and the long-term unity of the House of Windsor itself. So now the question passes to you. Do you believe William is protecting the monarchy exactly as a future king should? Or do you believe Harry's warnings about institutional control are being proven right in real time? And perhaps the biggest question of all, if reconciliation were still possible, would either brother even want it anymore? Because tonight, the monarchy may not simply be facing another controversy. It may be witnessing the final collapse of one of the most important royal relationships of the modern age. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next developments in this story could completely reshape the future of the royal family. And as always, tell us your thoughts below because in moments like this, every royal watcher sees the monarchy differently.